Hey up, I was having a few thoughts about my Worms game and some of the things I've been messing around with programming and dimensions, and bigger maps, finding machine code routines to scroll things, and trying to get the whole thing put together to get a package together to get this game moving. So it's going to do what we want it to do, not just what I want it to do, because everyone wants to see this Worms game run on the Spectrum somehow. Um, Been talking a lot about scrollers and dimensions, how to set up your own custom maps inside a dimension. It's not hard to do once you get the hang of it. But scrolling the damn thing about efficiently without any faults and as quickly as possible to give the smoothest animation when running in a hybrid system where you've got a basic program and a machine code scroller, you're limited. The program ideally needs to be entirely machine code and you'll get a lovely smooth scroll. You're not going back to the basic interpreter every time. Come a day now, I'll be able to write a machine code program that does the lot. I'm still in the learning process. I'm very much a beginner. I understand a lot about machine code and how the spectrum works and how a CPU works right down to the logic registers. But I don't understand the machine code language like I understand BASIC. I've just got to learn the machine code language and how things function, and I'm on my way. Much like anyone else, I've got all the books I need. Which brings me to the next point, which is two lovely books that I've got free to download from World of Spectrum, written by David Webb, published by Melbourne House. Reputable name and publisher, aren't they? Games and books. David Webb spent his, seemingly I've researched him in his university years, early years, writing a number of books for the ZX Spectrum. And he brought out the game Starion, which is a wireframe shooter of phenomenal speed to play. It's like arcade level speed on a Spectrum shooter in wireframe. It's fantastic. And he wrote these two books, which are Supercharge Your Spectrum and Advanced Programming for the ZX Spectrum. Both books go together. Supercharged Spectrum is an amazing book, and I've only just started to read it. And basically it's for people like me who are partially dumb when it comes to machine code, understanding how it's actually constructed and written and what everything does when you're still a learner. All these routines in David Webb's books are literally plug and play. It gives you a little loader program at the start, which somebody's done, and it's free to download. You won't have to type that in. It's called HexAid. It goes with the books. Just a hex loader with editing features, saving it features. It's quite good. I haven't personally tried it. I've only just downloaded it. I've seen the splash screen in it, and obviously read the dialogue in the book. It's a nice little package. Goes with the book, so I recommend to use it. On Supercharge Your Spectrum, I've only just started the first few chapters. And the first one deals with moving attributes around in the attribute file and the like. Yes, I'm just trying to remember the contents, but yes, it does. It goes into attributes first. I was thinking it did something else like keys, but keys are at the end of the book. And David Webb came up throughout the book. He's got some lovely pieces of work that he's made, and it opens out with making a rectangle on the screen in the attribute file only, colored blocks only, allowing you to manipulate a rectangle from anything from a single block to the whole screen and move it about any color. And later on, you can put a number of rectangles on the screen and have them moving over the top of each other and color matching and everything. He's wrote the routine that does that. It ends up, it's a bit to type in, but it's going to do a marvelous visual job. And then the next section goes and deals with the display file. It does exactly the same. You can move a single character text or anything up the screen size around inside that rectangle that you've defined, and it'll scroll it in any direction. Anything outside of the box doesn't get scrolled. Only things in the box are scrolled. And that's the level of detail of his work. Far, far shot away from the basic machine code scrollers we've been seeing in some of these hybrid basic machine code type-ins games we've been messing around with. David Webb, professional writer, got his total handle on maths and the computer, and these books are well worth going through for the gems that are in them. He does amazing clear screen routines, a thing called a carpet roll. You very rarely see that on the Spectrum. That's literally where my fingers, the side of the screen rolls over like a carpet, as if you were rolling the page over, and then the next page underneath revealed as this one's peeled off. There's a routine for doing that. And some boy. And that's just supercharges Spectrum. And in the next book, the advanced programming, whatever it's called, machine programming, in the book later on, he gives you all these, some of the routines from the supercharged book and some additional ones. And in the second book, he writes up a machine code plotter, sprite plotter, in other words. It'll animate anything from a single character block, 8 by 8, up to 1,000 pixels square. Animated frames in machine code. And it's got a simple set of variables to control it and where to pick up the graphics from, where to put it on the screen and animate it. And it's there in that book. You've just got to type it in. I haven't done it yet, obviously. There's so many things I've got to read, and so many books, and these two, and I'm working on a game, and I'm trying these things. So with the dimensions and maps, so getting around to do that large sprite plotter out the second book will be coming eventually. But I'm from what you've seen in previous videos where I've been making a large map and trying to scroll it, I'm not happy with the scrolling routines that I've used from somebody else's program and ported them in. I want to try what David Webb wrote and his most complex attribute and display file handlers that's in the book, and learn how to use them, because it can move any rectangle of any size independently on the screen without affecting anything else. It's exactly what you want, including not buggering up the bottom 2 lines of the screen. If you want to use them like I do for a status panel for the players to look at score and health and readouts, don't want it affected by scrolling and attributes falling in and out of it, and I want to be able to move my screen and leave my status bar alone. Surely that's possible on a Spectrum. Must be. And that's one of the, I suppose, the holy grails I'm looking for. Things that don't bugger up the bottom 2 lines whilst you're trying to print stuff there. And you can have stuff moving about, animated. Got to be possible. It's a computer, after all. It only does what you tell it. And it's only the technique that you use in your actual program where you're selectively moving the bytes in the display file. We all know about the stupid ordering of the Spectrum display file, how it prints out the top byte line of the first character, then the first byte of the second one down, and you're like, oh Christ, why? Any other logic would be like first byte, second byte, third byte, fourth, first line done, down the screen, not the fucking Spectrum. No, it has to do it like this, fucker. You're there for ages. 8 lines at a fucking time. What's going on here? There's that many quirks of the Spectrum. But you know, you're not stuck rigidly to the fact that it has to read it that way. You know, it's only a set of addresses, so there's two first line up on the display file. X number of bits long, bytes, 32. You know, the next fucking bit line down has an address, doesn't it? It's offset from the first one by 256, is it not? Or whatever it is, 32 bytes. So surely you can take the first line and then the second one. You can, because I've seen single line scrollers that do that. So to do the whole screen, you must be able to and omit the bottom two lines out the bottom 16 pixels. You know, I feel like a fucking time machine. I'd tell Sinclair a thing or two, and we'd go back with a book of complaints, wouldn't you? Throw that at him. Here, you want a good computer or what? Here, fix these things. Bang. Book bounces off his little baldy head. Who the hell are you? Time traveller. Read the book. Bye. Gone. Back to this time, and you've got this lovely Spectrum that does all the shit that you ever wanted it to do. In a fantasy world. Right, there's, looking at my clock, 11 and a half minutes of waffle. Jesus, and on a Friday morning. Fancy that. Well, there we go. I've got some work to do on me worms, and I'm going to start looking into David Webb's books and his work, because I think I'm going to put my faith with him and trust that what we're getting out of the book is valid and it's going to work and it's going to do what I want it to do. Ultimately, what everyone wants to see in a game, especially with something like Worms, where it really does have to be, you know, as efficient and as smooth as possible, because I'm as pedantic as anybody else as to how it's supposed to look and how it's supposed to feel and play. I played Worms ever since the game came out in the 90s, and all the angle and powering games since the ZX81, so I'm a master at this shit, you know. I know what these kind of games are supposed to play like, and so I need to get all the mechanics together and all the pieces together to be able to produce that in a computer, in a program. Because if you're going to go to all this effort to go down this road with something like Worms, you're going to have to try and cover as many bases as possible and get it, you know, as sweet as possible, purring like a cat, you know. And eventually, of course, I would look to do it all machine code, and I think one day we'll be able to. And it's just a case of putting the modules together and making an algorithm to follow. And you've got all the modules, fragments in place that do all the drawing and key takes and animation and everything. It's all possible, but just step by step. Right, I've extended to 13 and a half minutes of waffle now, so I'm definitely going now. Thanks for listening. Take care.